Well, it's time now for the press review, and Solange Moujane is here with us to take a look at what's grabbing headlines around the world. Solange, you're starting off with one of our top stories today, the funeral of Tyre Nichols in the United States.
Yeah, the 29-year-old's funeral is one of the top stories in the U.S. As we see on the front page of USA Today, the vice president joined thousands of other mourners paying tribute to the young man who was killed by police. Now, in addition to these tributes, there's much debate over the video of his beating by police officers. First, the New York Times notes that the video was taken from street light cameras like these that you see here, which gave the world a real picture, more so than body cam images of what was happening. But such street cameras do come with a caveat. They raise important issues about privacy and whether they fight crime efficiently. There's also a discussion about whether the video was overused by the media. A number of voices, like Jon Stewart, have said that it was shown too much. As The Hill tells us, he argued that TV stations in the U.S. were, quote, playing it like Fox plays spring break footage. Now, an opinion writer at the Washington Post says that such videos of black people being killed regularly run on loop on cable. They create awareness and about a massive problem in the U.S. and also stop impunity of police officers. But at the same time, these videos have not brought fundamental change to policing. All they do, the Post writes, is increase public desensitizing of black people dying, and it argues they are doing, quote, more harm than good, which leaves us with the question why. As we see in the Greenville Sun, we have Uncle Sam hiding his eyes in what is now a multi-pronged question: why such killings? Why such videos in the U.S.?
All right, Solange, we're going to stay in the U.S. There's also an education debate underway. This is about African-American studies.
Yeah, last month, Florida's governor basically banned the curriculum of advanced placement courses on African-American studies. Well, NPR now tells us that the College Board, which creates these courses and tests, has curbed its guidelines and revised its curriculum. And it's actually removed several themes and mentions of prominent black scholars so as to potentially appease such criticism from conservatives in places like Florida. Now, the move is, the New York Times tells us, bigger than just what's in a high school classroom course. It, quote, underscores the fact that the U.S. is a country that cannot agree on its own story, especially in regard to black Americans.
All right, Solange, we're going to turn to some news here in France next. An immigration bill was presented yesterday, and it's already getting criticism from the left and also from the right.
Yeah, the French government is already tackling mass pushback in regard to its pension reforms. And it has, in the words of Le Figaro, added another casse-tête, another headache of a puzzle to its plate. The conservative paper says that the right has massively rejected this immigration bill, as many conservatives feel that it opens the door for mass regularization. But on the other end of the political spectrum, as Mediapart tells us, the left says that Macron is trying to sort the good foreigners from the bad foreigners, with the possibility of visas for those who work in fields that lack employees. But Mediapart says that this plan and the true intentions of the government remain incredibly vague, and that it is now narrowing the criteria of these visas in an effort to appease the far right and the right. And finally, such visas could actually hurt African nations as well. Le Monde tells us that such work visas for those in skilled professions, namely in regard to doctors, well, they could, for example, create a brain drain in many African nations.
All right, Solange, we're getting a little low on time, and I want to get to this last story. You found an article about a new and interesting type of anglerfish.
Yeah, these are fish, The Guardian tells us, that are often described as looking like satanic potatoes. You see one there. And a deep sea crawler has actually found a new species of one. But what's really fascinating about these fish and this article as well is the description of their sex lives. Now, The Guardian explains that some of them practice what's called sexual parasitism. And now, to get into the down and dirty of what this is, the site tells us that certain anglefish latch onto their male anglefish, latch onto females, their body tissues actually fuse together forever, and the male basically never lets go, becoming not only a part of the female's blood supply, as a permanent source of sperm, but also part of her blood supply, becoming dependent on her. Such mating techniques have actually had researchers studying these fish, this forever fusion, to better understand how our immune systems work, because their immune systems seem to handle it, but ours, of course, would not be able to do so.
Yeah, our immune systems and maybe just our own feelings wouldn't be able to handle it. That's some serious commitment, a little bit clingy. Solange, thank you very much for that peek into the sex lives of anglerfish and that look through today's papers.